Most people want success, but they have the wrong view about money, relationships, and prosperity. And what if just changing that single aspect in your life drastically increased your chances of being able to become wealthy? Hi, my name is Jason Ellinger, and I'm the CEO of Untitled Translations. And today I'm going to share with you one of the most important books that I've ever read in my life that changed and enhanced my view on wealth, prosperity, money, and the morals behind it, and drastically increased my chances of becoming wealthy. Most people have some kind of negative connotation to wealth. They think that it's reserved for the elite, or reserved for a group of people that's not me, or I didn't come from wealth so I can't get to wealth, or people like us just can't become wealthy, or people from wherever you're from. This guy from nowhere that shouldn't have been successful without the most incredible upbringing or privileged upbringing achieved an unbelievable level of a success in life by simply applying the principles that make it possible and almost inevitable to become wealthy. And so I'm going to share those 10 principles with you today, and they come out of this book right here called Thou Shalt Prosper. If there are any books that I keep on my bedstand as a continual reminder for what I'm doing and the focus that I need to have in life, it's this one. I actually have this book, I have the Bible, and then I have one other book that I'm currently reading. But I leave this one on my bookstand because it says Thou Shalt Prosper. And I'm reminded each day about the principles inside of it and how they align with what I believe around money and wealth and success that helps us to be eventually, almost inevitably, prosperous. So let's jump right in, and I hope to transform your mentality or your beliefs around money and wealth. Because if you can transform your beliefs, eventually it will turn into action. And when you have belief and action, you'll almost be unstoppable. So in the book, Thou Shalt Prosper, Daniel Lapin, Rabbi Daniel Lapin, also called America's Rabbi, he talks about 10 commandments for building wealth. He goes through what are the most influential mindset differentiators for people when they look at or view or have a relationship with money. And he talks about why almost inevitably in so many areas of business and wealth, you will find Jewish people, because they incline to and continually practice a set of basic principles that cause prosperity to almost be impossible not to meet. And so I'm going to go through those in this video, and I hope that you take some of these and start to apply them to your life today. Number one, the morality of business. In the mass media today, you see time after time when a movie comes out and it's made about the evil rich person somewhere lurking in a big dark tower in the middle of a huge city, and he's oppressing the poor. And in this book, Daniel Lapin references numbers of movies where it's teaching the culture today that rich people are inherently bad, and anybody who has a big, powerful, huge pile of wealth is inherently evil because they got it through evil means. And that is completely contradictory to what is true around building wealth, because the pursuit of wealth is a highly moral calling. And that's what the Jewish believe. It's something that you're called by God to pursue because of what it creates. It represents your service to mankind, and growing your pile of wealth demonstrates how well you have served the rest of the world. Served your community, served your family, or served the people that you love in your life. And growing your wealth is a very intentional part of that process. So building wealth is highly moral. And the book outlines that making profit doesn't mean that you're greedy. It means that you have served people incredibly well, and for that they have rewarded you. And that's commandment one. Commandment number two is expanding your network and relationships. I was amazed to watch that how whenever a Jewish person goes to a new community, they immediately go to the temple. And in the temple, there are groups of men that are businessmen or colleagues or involved in some kind of commerce, and they connect each other with each other. So every time a Jewish person goes to a new community, they immediately have connection with people in the community that are influential, that are helpful, and that can help increase their possibilities to prosper. And so they come in, they meet each other, and they go to their group, and they say, I'm so-and-so from this such and such temple in this other city, and we're coming here either to visit or to move, and we're just, we want to be a part of this community and to be a help and a blessing here, just like we were over there. These people in the new community, they can reference the other temple and ask. They can even follow up and ask, like, hey, is this dude legit? And then when he integrates into this one, those guys say, yeah, he's legit. You can do business with this guy. And yes, he's been a great help over here. He has great character. And we've got a reference for this guy. And now he can integrate into this community and also prosper. And that networking and relationship building strength that the Jewish people demonstrate is, and it's just a part of their living. It's part of the way that they live. And that's not just for them. It's not just exclusively for those for the Jewish people. It's also for everyone else. The principle applies in every walk of life. And so outside of the Jewish realm, there are many, many other opportunities where you can go in and network and broaden your relationship. In the book, The Proximity Principle by Ken Coleman, he outlines the necessity of this in being able to prosper over time. And it aligns directly with the book, Thou Shalt Prosper. So if you're going to be building wealth, and if you're going to be more likely inclined to meeting situations and circumstances and people that help you along that journey, then you must expand your network and relationships. The third commandment of this book, it talks about being consistent and reliable. Being consistent and reliable is so key, because if you've come from a community and you're going to a new community, whether you like it or not, you're going to be influenced by what you've done and who you've connected with. Now, if you've connected with people poorly and done poorly in your lifetime, you have a chance to change right now, today. You can change and decide to be different right now, today, and you can actually go mend many of the relationships that you've broken so that you have the references to move forward in your life. So many people, we just go recklessly through our life, not thinking about the relationships that we have and how damaging those are on our prosperity and our ability to win over time. And we just go through saying, well, the only thing that matters is what I want and what I think. If this person doesn't like it, well, screw them. I'll go find somebody else. Yeah, you will go find somebody else, but that relationship is broken. That bridge is burned. And how are you going to build prosperity on that relationship? You're not. It's dead. It's dead to you, and it's going to cause that area of your life to be dead. But in Thou Shalt Prosper, it just talks about the whole essence of your life being one big producer of life and profit and good. And that's why this book is so influential, because it gives you the principles to succeed that will almost in any area of your life cause prosperity. And when you have prosperity as a whole in your life, you're going to have a lot of prosperity in the areas that you really want it to be, like money and relationships and in your businesses and in your networks and just personal fulfillment in life. All right, so commandment number 4 is this, and it's learn to take smart risks. Taking risk is a part of the cycle of prospering. You will take a risk, you will fail, you will learn from that failure, you will make the improvements, you will take the risk is most likely going to lead you in the area of prosperity, and then you may fail again or fail in some section. Maybe you'll prosper in some section, you'll remove the bad, you'll implement the new improvements again, and then you'll go through the cycle again and again and again till you ultimately create a prosperous and profitable outcome. And if you're going to work towards prospering in your life, you can't be afraid of failure. And so Daniel Lapin talks about people who are ultimately successful. They continue to look for opportunities to succeed, and when they fail, they don't view it completely as a failure. They view it as a situation where they learned. At the least, they learned what didn't work. And so the next time, they know that they never do that again. So the next revolution, the next time around, they won't have that barrier in the way, because now they know for sure that that thing doesn't work. But they're not completely risk averse, and they don't not take risks. They take lots of risks early and often. And sometimes one of the biggest things that sustains their ability to take the risk is the relationships and the consistency that they developed in point 1 and 2, so that they have the wisdom and the social support to go forward and take those risks. And when they take that risk, it's not fatal. And when they fail, it's not completely and utterly a failure, because the risk they took was calculated, backed by wisdom and their strong relationships to help us in case we fall. And in that sense, you fall, you get back up, you dust yourself off, and you move forwards. But failure is never fatal, and there are always lessons to be gained from the failures that we have encountered. And it's always best to learn from the failures of others. And that's why when Daniel Lapin talks about how Jewish people go from this temple to a new community where they meet another group of men or women in their community that helps them prosper in that new area, that's why it's so vital, because those relationships and that social network will keep you from falling and utterly failing. Now, the next point to me was one of the most impactful points, because so many people get this wrong. So many people come to work and they say, I have, especially in the, now, I might be bashing some Christians here, but especially in the Christian world, we're like, okay, I serve God at my church, But when I go home and when I go to my work, I'm just making money. I'm just there to meet my temporal or my vain needs. I just need to go there, get some money so I can buy food, gas, electric lights, and stuff like that. And it has nothing to do with my purpose. And this is what I loved when Daniel Lapin shined the light on this area and said, no, this area is vital to your ability to succeed. And having the right mentality about it changes everything. Work is sacred. Work is not just a means to earn money. It is a means to express your ultimate purpose in this life. It is the conduit that you can display all of the magnificence with which you were created. You were created to do unbelievable, unreal things, create profit in the most unimaginable, awesome life possible. And as such, your work is the way that you carry that out. And to me, that's so meaningful because as a leader of a company, I wanted to know that the work that I do mattered. And I wanted to know that it mattered not just to me personally today to feed my family, but in a larger scale, that actually in a way that really does influence the world for good. And as Daniel Lapin outlines it in the book, he talks about prosperity being sacred. It is a mission that you are called upon to do, to influence the world for good in whatever you have been given to do. And the Bible has references to this, and I don't want to just be Bible thumping here, but it says, whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might. Do it with every essence of your fiber of your being. Go out into the world and do it with all that you are. Because it is a sacred way that you can express your ultimate purpose. The more meaning you find in your work, the more motivated you will be to grow. If you just show up to work and mail it in, you will find no meaning and you will be not motivated to grow in any way, shape, or form. And so I love how Daniel Lapin, and it transforms so many people's work, because if they understand that if this is actually true and they live in that way, they will create the most profitable, most beautiful, most magnificent outcomes that you could imagine. This point alone is worth reading the book. This helped me more than you can imagine. All right, point number 6, be generous and share your success. Everybody actually loves this part, and for many people, this is super easy. For me, I love this. I love this part of doing business. I love this part of prosperity, being able to share and being generous with your communities, being generous with others. That's one of my most favorite parts about wealth building. And so some of the points in the book, they're coming easier, but some of them are a little bit harder. And he shined, and the most awesome thing is Daniel shines a light on all of them and helps you understand that all of them, they must all be in your life and they must all be in check in your life in order to be fully prosperous. So in the book, Thou Shalt Prosper, Daniel Lapin talks about how being generous and having a charitable spirit around the things that you own, things that you have, is part of the wealth building process. When you give, you keep your hands open like this. And when you receive and you only receive and all you do is receive and you keep your hands closed like this, nothing can get in, but also nothing can get out. If you keep your fists clutched, you will never be able to receive much more. But if you keep your hands like this, what I have been given, I will be used as a conduit. I will facilitate the movement of wealth to me, from me, to others, to those around me. Then money can come in, wealth can come in, and it can flow out. And it's this fluid movement of being generous and creating opportunities in the world around you that creates in you the spirit of, you know what, I'm going to have enough for myself, and I'm going to pay attention to everybody else in the world too, because there's other people in this world that also need help, and I'm going to be a positive influence in their life. And when you create that type of aura around your life and in and through the work that you do, you create an incredible benefits, not only for your own life, but also for the people of others. And that in turn will create new opportunities in your life. But you don't just do it for the opportunity's sake. You do it because you've been given much. And from one who has been given much, much is required. So being generous is a very critical part of living wealthily. And so that's why being a miser or or being some evil person in the top of the tower. That's why it bothered Daniel Lapin so much in the first chapter of the book, as he outlines the morality of business, or the morality of wealth, because all of the wealthy people that he knows are incredibly generous, and many of the wealth people that I know, they're incredibly generous. It's a part of the wealth process, and all of us know that. So we build wealth, and part of it is to give a bunch of it away so that we can help the world and make the world a better place and live out our ultimate purpose, understanding that we've been provided for and we've been put here to help provide for others. And as such, we demonstrate our full magnificence and what we were ultimately created to demonstrate as humans. All right, step number 7, avoiding a victim type mentality. And this is not just for a poor person living on the side of the street, guys. This is actually for people who are trying to prosper, and they're working really hard, and they're hitting barriers in their life, and they're seeing difficulties, and they're seeing things that in the marketplace that are unfair or that cause them challenges, or governments change laws and they change administrations, and you have this big disruption in your space. I mean, it's not just for some abstract person somewhere that says they're a victim. The victim mentality can happen to even wealthy people. Adverse situations happen in their environment, and all of a sudden they start complaining about, well, this entity did that, or this government did that, or these laws were changed to that, and this influenced me badly, and now I have excuse for not being able to prosper. Now I'm just a victim of all the circumstances of life. And that's not going to move you anywhere. But taking responsibility for you and your current state is. And in section number 7, Daniel Lapin says, wealthy people, they don't look into the environment and say, this is all crap, we can't succeed. They look into the environment and say, yeah, this is bad, but I am responsible for me, and I'm responsible for my own prosperity, and I believe that I actually have control over my destiny. So prosperous people, they don't waste time looking around in the marketplace thinking about the things that they cannot control. They get busy today about the things that they can. And this is one of the biggest things that we can change, because this is simply a decision. This is a decision that you can make right now today, that you control your destiny by the actions that you take right now today. The beliefs that you're believing and the actions that you are taking, you control it. And if you're in a bad environment, you can decide to leave it. And if you need help, then you have to decide to go get help. And then you get out of that environment and you get to a new environment that can allow you to be prosperous and allow those positive things in your life that you can build on. But it's a decision. And if you choose to believe that you're stuck and you can't get out, you will be stuck and you will not be able to get out. But if you choose to believe that prosperity is for you, and that you can build relationships, and that you can network, and that you can clean yourself up, get out and get going, then you will build wealth like you could never imagine, because now you've broken free from the shackles of thinking that you were a victim. Wealthy people, we don't think we're victims. We see the environment, we see what's happening around us, we understand the implications of it, and we say, all right, fine. How are we going to focus on our solution and get to prosperity, given these circumstances? The circumstances have changed. That sucks. We acknowledge that. And we're going to prosper anyways. All right, so that leads to number 8, and that is building healthy financial habits. Making a budget, living on less than you make, and being generous. Building wealth so that later you can build wealth and give a bunch of it away. Because ultimately, that's all you can do. You can only build wealth that builds more wealth, and then create a legacy that can go to your children's children. The Bible says a wise man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That's what I'm working on. I'm working on building that legacy wealth that I can leave to my children's children. So if we're going to do that, then that means we have to create enough for ourselves and an overflow amount of that so that we can go and prosper. So in this section, I love that there's a beautiful picture that the Jews do in practice, and they have a prayer that goes along with it. And there's a bowl that they set in the middle of the table, and then there's a cup in the middle of the bowl. Like I don't know exactly what it's called, but anyways, it's this dish that they pour wine in the cup that's inside this bowl. And as the wine gets to the top of the cup, they pray that God would give them enough for their own selves. But once it gets to the brim of the cup, they keep pouring so that there's an overflow that comes out and goes down into the bowl, representing their communities and the world around them, saying, God, please give us enough for our own selves so that we can provide for our families, and that we would have an overflow and abundance, that we may, out of that abundance and that blessing that you've given to us, give to the world around us and make this world and ultimately a better place, and to create a legacy and a future for our families. So building strong and healthy financial habits. If you don't have them, you can decide that today and start doing them. There's plenty of information all over the internet. You can attend Financial Peace University, but from Dave Ramsey, or you can start by simply scribbling a budget out on a yellow pad today and start saving and investing for the future. This is part of successful people's lives. It's part of my life. It's been a part of my life for the past 20 years. And that's one of the main areas that's kept my family safe during ups and downs and caused us to be able to create prosperity and legacy wealth building for the long term. The 9th lesson out of this book talks about continuous learning. And if there's one thing that I can't stand, is that a person who has gotten to a certain level in their life and they just stop developing. They stop growing and they stop asking questions or reading books that actually help them to expand their mind. They start just reading pure fiction books or books that don't give them any new information or cause them to have to change and adapt and think differently. They simply only read the stuff that is specific to what they believe or they like, and they do nothing else and learn nothing. And Daniel Lapin outlines that learning is a continual characteristic of people who are ultimately going to be wealthy over the long term. If you stop learning, you stop growing altogether. In a world that is constantly changing, adapting and evolving to our new realities is always necessary. We don't like change, but we love improvement. However, if we cannot improve and adapt to the changes, if we're not learning about the changes and learning new ways to cope with them and learning new ways to be profitable in the new environments. And so a process, keeping a mindset of, I will learn something new each day. I will read books just like this. In fact, I recommend it. Go to Amazon.com or your local bookstore, because this is a really popular book. You can find this almost anywhere in any of the major booksellers today. Or you can click the link in the description and you can go and buy this book and learn something and change your own thinking. And that's a part of the process of being wealthy. You will never be wealthy if you have this mindset that I have learned enough, I have had enough schooling, I have had enough education, and I am done. I know enough. I'm a lifelong learner. I have multiple degrees, and I just love learning. I love the process of learning, the process of understanding something new, and understanding how something maybe that I'm currently doing is possibly wrong, and how I could change in order to create a better outcome. That is something that you can do today. And what I love about all the 10 commandments from Thou Shalt Prosper is that these are mostly decisions and actions that you can take. You need nothing else in life. It's simply discipline and action on your part to go out into the world and do these things and make them a part of your everyday living. And so finally, we get to number 10, the culmination of all of the book. And it talks about wealthy people understand this more than anything else, or more than all of the first 9 steps put together. Have a purpose greater than money, greater than just surviving, greater than just living day to day, greater than just living month to month. Have a grand purpose for your life. And nobody outside of your life gives you that purpose. You create it for you. You create your path forward and you latch on to that. It's meaningful to you and it drives you to do something greater and create the ultimate magnificence that you have been created to display in this lifetime. You have a whole lifetime where you can display all of the good or the bad that you want in your life. And ultimately, if you have a purpose far greater than money, far greater than yourself, far greater than anything that you could possibly imagine, or maybe anybody around you could possibly imagine for you, you will ultimately be incredibly wealthy because you're living out that purpose with a vengeance, saying that I will do this or I will die. I will choose dragons sufficiently large that I will slay in my lifetime, and I will pursue it. I might die trying, but I'm going to pursue it with my whole life and my whole heart and all that I am, because it's worth pursuing, because I have deemed it so. And you must create that purpose. And for me, I find that purpose in God. And ultimately, it's not about money. It's not about me. It's about everything that I have been created and the talents and skills that I've been given and that I can develop in and through myself throughout a lifetime of service to all of the world, to all of humanity. And you can get that too. And pure and truly wealthy people understand this. They engage in the process of creating that purpose and they embody it for their lifetime. And that creates unimaginable wealth. And Daniel Lapin talks about prosperity being about creating legacy that outlives you, far outlives you. If you're going to create something that outlives you, it means you're going to have to serve other than you entities throughout your lifetime so that you can make an impact that matters, that does outlast and live you. And living for something far beyond yourself is a choice that you make to understand the purpose that you've been created. Look at the skills you have been given. Look at the skills that you don't have that you would like to have that means something to you. Go get those and then start applying them with a vengeance in your life. And over time, connecting with the right people and being reliable and creating a budget and creating the system for prosperity to be a part of your life and following up and then avoiding victim mentalities and carrying it out over the long term. I'm not talking about over 6 and 8 and 10 months. I'm talking about over 20, 25, 50 years, doing this over the long term, living out an ultimate purpose that matters, that influences the world for good, and ultimately displays the magnificence that you were given, that you have, that you're capable of displaying in all of this life. You see incredible people that have been massively successful, and we hold them on a pedestal in very high awe. We say, wow, that's amazing. That person did those things and they're incredible. And that can be you, because you have decided on what your purpose is and you're living it out to the fullest extent, displaying that majesty that is in you. As a Christian, I believe that we were created by God for the purposes that God has, and we were given his very likeness and his nature, and we were given all the talents and skills that we need to be able to display in our lifetime the awesomeness that he wants us to live out and to create. And he also gives us some instructions, like leave a legacy to your children's children. And when I see that as an incredible mission for me to go out and create and use all the skills, expend all of my talents possible to create prosperity so that I can do that very thing, that I can leave a legacy of excellence in character, excellence in purpose, and financial blessing to my children's children over my lifetime. I can create that. And then I can help other people do the same thing. And then I can ultimately, throughout my lifetime, look back and say, I've lived out to the fullest extent. I have expended every bit of a majestic power that has been put inside of me for the better of humanity and ultimately to the glory of God. And that's where I find my great purpose. True success is about the entire mindset, the entire person, and the communities connected to it. And your ability to prosper includes all of those as well. So this book really changed my life on relationships, money, and work, and wealth. And if you struggle with limiting beliefs around that subject, find this book and read it today, and then start applying. And if this video resonated with you in any way, please take this video and share it with a friend, like and subscribe so that I can create more content like this. If it was valuable in any way, please comment below and just tell me what part was you most appreciated. And always remember, prosperity starts with you. Change your beliefs, change your life, and impact the world with everything that you were created